Welcome to Chalk Dust, the podcast that gives you a front row seat into some of the best classrooms in the world. I'm Rebecca Birch.
And I'm Dr Nathaniel Swain.
I'm an academic in residence at a girls' school in Sydney. I'm an English teacher and I'm currently undertaking PhD research exploring how explicit instruction supports student wellbeing.
And I'm a teacher and instructional coach. I've taught in primary schools across Melbourne, and I'm working with schools nationwide on teaching practice and school improvement.
We're adding our voice to the growing world of evidence-informed education podcasts, but with a unique approach.
So how is Chalk Dust different? Each episode features expert commentary on real classroom footage. You can listen wherever you get your podcast, but it's even better when you come and listen on Substack or YouTube and watch the footage in real time. So you can hear Rebecca and I unpack real classroom footage. We can pause, rewind, and give you exclusive access to the subtle and powerful decisions that makes teaching effective.
You may want to share an episode with your department or use it to stimulate discussion during professional learning. Or if your school has found the pod useful, click or follow on one of our platforms. It's a great way for you to show your appreciation and help Chalk Dust to reach more teachers.
Before we start the show, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands that we're recording from and from where you may be listening. Here in Melbourne, I'd like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, on whose lands I'm recording today.
Here in Sydney, I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people and pay my respect to elders past and present. Today we have a very special guest with us, Dr Mark Dowley, who authored the Amazon best-selling Classroom Management Handbook. He's the Associate Head of Staff Development at the Crowther Centre for Applied Educational Research and Senior Fellow at the Centre for Coaching, Mentoring and Professional Learning at Leeds Beckett University. He's the Chair of Mastery Schools Victoria and consults internationally to schools on culture, belonging and behaviour. He also teaches mathematics to teenagers at Brighton Grammar in Melbourne, Australia, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. So welcome, Mark. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about Brighton Grammar and the boys there and the profile of this particular class?
Yeah, thanks, Beck. Thanks, Nate. Great to be here. So I'm fortunate to work at an all-boys school here in Melbourne. High-SES, this is a group of Year 9 boys. Fortunate that a lot of our students do move on to university and those other programs, but they still can be tricky to teach sometimes when you've got 25 of them on a Friday afternoon.
Great. So we're going to watch one of Mark's entry routines. The first time we watch it, I think is it right that this is your first lesson with those particular boys?
Yeah, so this is the very first lesson, and it took over this class start of term 3, our second semester here in Oz, because it happens in a school. There were 3 different teachers in the first semester, and so there were a few behavioural challenges. First class with them, started the term. I'm trying to set them up. I know some of the students, but not all of them. And I've got a few things in place to try and make sure it goes smoothly. You'll see a seating plan up on the screen on the board. Yep. On the table, there's a starter activity, a simple retrieval practice activity that should take them about 10 minutes with some core mathematics skills from the previous semester. And my main aim for this lesson is to get them in, learn their names, and get them working quietly to set the standards for the term ahead.
I think this will be great to see.
Yeah, shall we watch?
Let's go.
Thanks, Mark.
You'll need something to write on, and you'll need your maths textbook. They're your 3 things. If you don't have them, make sure you grab them now. Sorry? Get your sticker from the Mitchell. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. Go. 3 things. When you walk in, there is a seating plan up on the board. It'll be for the first week or 2, just for me to help learn your names. There is a starter activity, some basic maths questions on the table. Enter silently, find your assigned seat, and begin the starter activity. What was the first one, sir? Great, pretty good. What are you supposed to start, Ruben? Yeah, the thing on the page. And how long should it take you? Under 60 seconds to get started. All right. 1, 2, 3. Can you just put your ball away? Thanks. 1, 2, 3. Find your place on the board and sit down. Thank you, lads. Good. Someone had a phone. Make sure it goes in the box or in the locker. Do you want to put it in the locker now? Put the phone in the locker now. Make it easier. Cool. 1, 2, 3. Head in, guys. Find your seat. Phone's in the box. You know the drill. Thanks, boys. Sit down and get started. Cool. It's just for the first week or 2, so I can see names. Cool. All right. First person started is Mitch. No. Eddie's getting organised. Welcome, boys. Great to see you. Mr. Lawback, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you going?
Good. You know the drill with my classes. Seating plan just for the first week or two. Yes. It's almost finished. Done. Come in. Thanks, boys. Find your seat. All right, first person started. Good work, Eddie. Dean's getting organised. Jensen's got his pen out. Wonderful. Should take you 4 or 5 minutes. So we should have Callum. Mitch C. You're in the wrong spot. Sorry. Mitch, you're... Yeah, over there, sir. Cool. So, seating plan up on the board. Cool. All right. 15 seconds to go. Yeah, you may begin. Boys. So, Callum should be here.
Yeah, that's my name.
So, Oscar and Luca. Where's Felix? Over here. Come in. Okay, thanks, boys. Sitting down. All right. Stop what you're doing. Pens down. Pens down. That was good. Okay, we came in, we found our seats. Well done. A little bit noisy, a little bit slow. Now that you know where you're seated, what we're going to do, we're going to stand up, we're going to do it again, just a little bit quieter. You're not in trouble, you haven't done it wrong, so you can leave all your stuff here, just come up, head outside, and we'll do it again. We've got time. Let's practice it.
So we're going to jump in and see the second part of this little duo of clips in a moment, Mark. But what is your threshold for getting the students to do it again?
Depends what my standards are. So I want them to be in silently and under 60 seconds. And so if they're not doing that, I want to get them to do it again. So I've set my standard that I'm trying to hold them to it there. And that took much longer than 60 seconds, and it definitely wasn't silent.
And so would you do that mid-term if this wasn't your first class? You'd do the same thing again? So if they got sloppy in the middle...
So they get sloppy day 2 and you have to do it again, and then day 3. And then they forget over a long weekend again. And it's something I do reasonably regularly. And I think that the nuance of it, I try and do it like in a warm way. So it's it's not I'm frustrated at you because you've done it wrong. Go and do it again. It's, hey boys, we just forgot the silent part. Come on, let's do it properly. And when you say with that kind of tone and posture, they're like, okay, fair enough. Come back in, do it properly, rather than students getting frustrated at you for kicking them out and coming back in again.
And for people looking at this and thinking, oh, if that was me, I would just continue and start the lesson, like a bit of rowdiness, a bit of people talking, a bit of a slow start. I'll just let that happen. What's your pitch to them to invest in this routine and to do it again, if you like, as a way of showing that it's not quite where you want it to be?
The pitch is, if you have a smooth start to the class, it makes the rest of the class heaps easier. And often teachers will find the class starts well and then drifts as you get towards the end. But the tighter that start is, the easier it is to hold their attention for the whole time. So that's one. And the other thing, it's just the concept of learning minutes. If we waste 5 minutes at the start of every lesson for a whole year, that's a lot of learning time lost. And so we're trying to maximise the time the students spend in class learning, and a tight entry routine is a good way to do that.
So for every one time that you repeat it, you might get 4 times of it being really super tidy and that extra sort of 4 minutes back.
Yeah, that's it. Over a whole year, it really adds up.
Sure.
Let's watch part 2 then and see how you do the second go at it, and I guess what the differences are.
Silently, 1, 2, 3, go. Good. I didn't point to you. Sorry. I love your enthusiasm, though. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just want to learn. In you go, guys. All right, the rest follow in. Much quieter this time. All right, silently, guys. Heaps better. Perfect. You may begin. Very impressed with Callum has started. Eddie started. Ollie B started. Nick. Good work. Felix. Dexy's working. Nice start. Men.
So this is the same in both clips. I think the positive narration of what you were looking for, and I guess spotlighting those students that were demonstrating the smooth start and getting started into work, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, and on that, like the positive narration, the same thing. Like some teachers are over the top. I think, oh, amazing, wonderful, you've got your pen out. And I teach teenage boys, and they just roll your eyes if you're a bit over the top at it. So and also trying to be pretty targeted as to who's doing the right thing. So a few of the names I called out are students who are often in trouble. And so they're 1 minute in the lesson and they've already had the teacher say, hey, good job, well done. And it's just building a bit of that positivity, because I know half an hour from now I'm going to be saying, oh, you get back to work, because they're talking when they're not supposed to.
Yeah. And in the motivation literature, they talk about some types of praise as being controlling. And the kids pick up on it, that if your praise is to control their behavior, they pick up on that. So if the way you praise them becomes really routine or robotic, that's another thing that can backfire as well, is they pick up on, oh, that's that thing that they do to manipulate me.
Yeah, great.
All right. Would we like to go on to Ioana Suchu, who's at Bradshaw Primary School in the Northern Territory, and see how she gets 50 kindergartners into a classroom?
This is a pretty astounding one, I have to say, given the number of students and the age. So this is the first year of school. I think it's good to just get your take on it, Mark, and see what you think that you like about this entry routine, given the scale and also the young sort of students, just to contrast with what we just saw.
And just with a bit of context of the school, it's a school in the Northern Territory, high Indigenous population, and their attendance rates are well above the state average for Indigenous students as well. So they must be doing something right here.
Crocodile, crocodile. Wonderful. Thank you for putting your hands on your head and closing your mouth straight away. My class, we are going to walk inside quietly. Sit on a leaf. Fantastic. Lucy, how are we walking inside? And where are we sitting, Arlo? On a leaf. Well done. This line is sitting absolutely perfect. Can you please stand up? My line. Thank you. Walking in. Well done. Love those quiet feet. Good job, Mustafa. This line is looking absolutely fabulous. Standing up. Oh, standing up. Walking in quietly. Finding a leaf. Nice and sensible. Good job, Blake. I like those walking feet. Well done, Maddie. Finding a leaf to sit on. And last line, standing up. Wait. Good job. Let's walk in.
One person skipping the queue there. Didn't cause too many issues, though.
Well done, Henry. Great walking, Daisy. Great sitting set, Maddie.
It is remarkably silent as well, I noticed. If you're listening to this rather than watching, it was one line at a time and students were waiting until the right time to go in. And then there's no big hubbub or big noise that's coming from the classroom afterwards. Everyone's calmly entering and starting the day in a really positive way. What do you think, Mark, people should be doing to instill these kinds of routines that sort of focus for learning at the start of the day, especially in those transitions, whether it's the start of primary school or the start of secondary school?
Yeah, there's so much stuff in there in the 1 minute clip. So a really clear attentional cue was the hands on the head, whatever that was. Also, a lot of the narration was very descriptive. So it's thank you for hands on your head without talking. So the narration is describing the behaviours that you expect from the students. And to answer your question, I think the correcting instantly is really important. So as soon as there's some level of noise, the teacher quiets them down or calls them across. Like, they're three things that really stood out to me there.
And I noticed that a lot of the strategies that teacher used were pretty much identical to the ones that you used with the Year 9 boys. It's remarkably similar. So I know you work in a K-12 school. What do you think K-12s could do better around 6 to 7?
Around 6 to 7. So I think it's like trying to minimise the change, if that makes sense, because often it's very different from Year 6 to Year 7, but it's not much different from 5 to 6 or 7 to 8. And so the more, use the word cohesion or consistency you can get across those year levels, the better. But even basic things like entering a room silently, having a starter activity, using similar attentional cues, or even having an attentional cue, all those things make a really big difference to ease the transition for students from one part of the school to another, or into a new school, as often happens.
I often talk to secondary schools and say that the kids in Year 6 are the same kids that are then transitioning as students into Year 7. So if there's things that are working really well in the primary school that's feeding into it, you almost want to carry over that, rather than saying in high school we don't have those high expectations, or we don't have that sense of structure because they're bigger now. If it's working well in year 6, it's probably going to work really well in year 7. It's not to say it won't change as they progress, because it might look different, as you're saying, maybe less over the top or less sort of child focused if you've got younger students who are then growing up. But the high level of expectations and the benefit of those for learning, I think, is the same across any year level. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, high expectations and routines at all year levels, even from 18-year-olds right down to 3 and 4-year-olds. Humans can learn more effectively if there are routines to save them time and harness their attention more effectively. For me, it's such a no-brainer at a school to have pretty consistent routines. And I say consistent because they don't mean that they have to be exactly the same, but your year 7 class shouldn't look too much different to a year 6 class, and your year 12 class might not look too much different to a year 11, but across the time, every class should have a starting routine, should have some form of review retrieval, because it just makes it easier for kids to learn.
This is the same group at the second half of the class, so we'll see how she approaches it.
Alrighty, my class. Ready to rock? Ready to rock. Perfect. Love the way Rosie's sitting on a line. Tashana, amazing. Oh, let's not worry about that right now. Alrighty. When I point to your line, you are going to stand up silently. How are we going to stand? Silently means no sound. Perfect. So we're going to stand up silently, and we're going to sit on the rainbow mat. We're going to sit set on the rainbow mat. How are we sitting? Set. Which line can I spy with the straightest backs? The hands are in their laps. The eyes are on me. Jargon, your line, standing up silently. Thank you. Great work, Jargon. Thanks, Jargon. Thanks, Izzy. In you go. Bella. Good work, superstar. Love the way Jade is walking so quietly. Nice work, Rosie. Marley, can you sit on a dot at the front, please, honey? Thank you. Which line's going next? Avila, your line. Can you silently stand up? The first line did a pretty good job. Thanks, Avila. Thanks, Dusty. Straight inside, bud. Can you tell me that later? Thank you so much for telling me that. In you go. Love the way Takia's walking. Thanks, Tashana. And my last line. Do you guys think you could do better than that? Do you think so? Alrighty, standing up. Let's try. Want to see those walking feet, Malia? Awesome work. Good job, Jaden. Thank you. Dottie, can you please also sit on a dot at the front, mate? Perfect, thank you. Love the way we're coming inside. Great job.
You know what I loved about this one was that it was slightly competitive, but there was still plenty of praise left in the tank for the last group. So it wasn't like, okay, you've got the crummiest sitting. It's, oh yeah, can you do better than the last group? Of course you can. Let's go in. It was really nice. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I just like the divide and conquer strategy. So first teacher went in with the first 2 classes, other one stayed back with the last 3. And you can see the entry routines were similar. There was a different attentional cue. The instructions were similar, but lots of checking for behavioural understanding as well. So saying, okay, where do you need to sit here, using those choral responses. So lots of different tools and techniques that you can use, but get the same outcome of students in quietly, calmly, and focusing on learning.
We talk about that a lot actually on the podcast, Mark, is that they're the same strategies, but they're delivered in a really personalised way. Like that particular class would have known that these are her particular signs and strategies. Like she's using a bit of gesture that the kids obviously know as well, and she's really making it her own.
Yeah, and I think it's a challenge for schools to get that consistency versus autonomy balance. I think some schools like everyone must do the same thing, but that grates a lot of a teacher's autonomy. But
and the kids probably.
Yeah, and the kids. But if you say everyone needs a starting routine and attentional cues and checking for behavioural understanding, teachers can have some autonomy in how to do that as well. And I think every school needs to find its own balance for there, with a focus on getting kids in and learning.
I think the consistency on the things that matter, or on the principles behind it, or on the core aspects of the routine, I think is what we should be aiming for. I think that then strikes the right sort of balance with the teacher's own flair, the teacher's own personality. We're asking teachers to all look the same or to teach like robots or something like that. It's, I think, about knowing what are the tools in your toolkit as a teacher. How can you harness what the school is currently doing, and how you can actually have routines and practices and values that are shared across, so that it's not just one teacher fighting for how they want it to be in their classroom, but then also knowing that there's individual variation that actually is healthy and really lovely as well. So we have one more clip from year 6 now at Bradshaw Primary in the Northern Territory, just to contrast what it looks like at the top end of this school.
is you're going to walk in silently. What are you doing? Walking in silently. Great. Next thing, you're grabbing your literacy equipment. What are you doing? Grabbing your literacy equipment. And then you're going to start the activity on the screen. What are you doing? Starting the activity on the screen. Okay. First two girls coming in. Noah, come in. Susan, come in. Next two boys coming in. Holly, come in. Dayon, come in. Charlotte, come in.
So she's just making sure here that there's not a big rush of students through the door.
Darnell, come in.
Yeah, it's crowd control and also a chance to check in
Angus, come in.
with each one as they come.
Last two girls, come in.
So she's monitoring what's going on inside the classroom and students as they come in. So big job.
I like the use of whisper as well, just when it's not necessary to speak loudly. Yeah. And here we're getting a fly on the wall.
To where your tidy tray is, you need to grab out the blue book.
It was nice. We actually followed the observer into the classroom as if we were one of the students there as well, which was helpful to see how everyone was knowing what to do and was finding their space. Would you say that's quite similar to how you'd see year 7s or year 8s enter the classroom, just a few different variations in your context, Mark?
Yeah, that was really good. A couple of things I noticed was even just the positioning next to the door so the teacher could see both parts of the classroom. That idea of threshold, controlling the entry, letting one student in at a time, both really powerful. And you notice her voice changed from quite loud outside with the gesture, here's what I'm saying, here's what you're saying. But once the inside room was quiet, I think you picked up it as well, just the softer voice from the teacher. And it's that performative skills of tone and volume and where you stand. Like, these are the subtle differences between a good classroom manager and a master classroom manager. That's really good to watch.
Great.
Definitely. So now we're about to see a series of videos from Julia Hutchinson at Kingston Heath Primary in Victoria, and she's going to show us how she starts the day with her foundation or prep or whatever you call it in your sort of part of the world, first year of school students. And it's interesting to see it from 3 different perspectives. So here, each student comes in and points to the sound of the day, does the sound, the letter, and a high five.
Taking your bag and going to your table.
So that's the high five. And then they trace the letter.
Writing hand. Writing
They're just coming in one at a time, very controlled.
You're getting learning at the same time you're getting a check-in. So it's L, the sound, and then lamp is the example word.
Good morning, Noah. Good morning, Noah.
So I love this one because it's got learning at the same time that it's got an opportunity to check in with students. It's really interesting to see how teachers use this opportunity to do some formative assessment, maybe a retrieval from what they've done previously. What did you make of it, Mark?
Yeah, look, great to see learning from the moment they go in the door, and an unscientific and very crude way if you're walking around a school. Like, I often walk around a school just as the bell goes to start class, and just to see the time from when the class starts to when the students are learning something. So whether they're doing the starter I reckon it's a really useful measure of how much learning is going to happen in the class, because if kids are mingling around for 5 or 10 minutes or slow to get started, compared some of the best teachers I see just get kids in and learning from the minute it starts to the minute it finishes. And I think that's a really good guide to how much they're going to learn over the years. So that was fantastic. From the second they walk in, retrieval, learning, teachers getting a measure of what they know.
I think it's really warm as well. I think it's important. Some teachers that I've talked to entry routines about are reticent to, I guess, lose what might be 15 or 20 minutes at the start of the day where they do circle time or they do a sort of a well-being sort of focus. And I think sometimes that can be really well-used time, but sometimes it could be just slow to get started time. So I guess how do teachers strike that balance of ensuring that, say you've got a home group teacher in secondary or you've got the regular classroom teacher in primary, it's the first thing that they do. How do they ensure that there's time to do that check-in and ensure that everyone's in a good place and there's a warm, welcoming environment, but also, as you're saying, get started into learning?
Yeah, I like to see it as an and. You can do both. Some of the teachers I see do it most effectively is it's even in that couple of minutes before class. If you can get there using timetables and things, but that's when you can say, hey class, how you going today? Look, I saw you in the sport on the weekend. How's the family? Tell us how your pet is, whatever it is you might be talking about. But 2 or 3 minutes of that, just before you enter, is a really powerful way. And the same thing can go at the end of class. You can say to students at the end, you can check in, ask them what's going on for the weekend as they're leaving. So it can be both.
So now we're seeing the next part of the routine from one student's point of view in Julia's classroom to see how that particular student gets started.
It's not your fault.
So he's sitting down at his desk. He already has the work ready to go. He's finding his pencil, which is already there in a nice little spot. He knows exactly what to do. He's writing some letters and tracing or some spelling. He's focused. The other children are focused. And he's put his pencil away, and that's all he needed to do for that bit. And then I think we're going to see him again now and just look at a little bit of independent reading that he does after that. He's got his decodable reader out.
Spin, spin, spin. Snap, snap, snap.
Can you get that? You try and get that.
Knee. It is knee.
Excellent sounding out he's doing there as well, finding the words.
Knee.
Can you hear it?
What did you make of that, Mark, in terms of what happened after that entry routine where they trace the letter, they do the high five, and they show what their phonics knowledge is? What happens next?
Yeah, a great tool is what we call reducing friction. And so reducing friction means having the things that students need really close to them. So the low friction was the book was already open on the desk and the pens were close by. Like a high friction would be they have to go to the other side of the room, open the drawer, get their book, and then go to the other corner of the room and get the pen that they need and come back. So having all your items there easily simplifies your transitions, save your time, more learning.
It was seamless, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
And I've got a question for you, Nate, actually, since you work with little ones a lot more often than I do. What's the advantage of a soft start? So Julia, in her communications with me, called this a soft start for kindy. What's the advantage of something like that with kids that are that little?
So I think it's good for helping the boundaries, which might be quite blurry at the start of your day, actually become a bit crisper. So no matter what time the student walks in, some schools have so the doors open at 8:50 and class officially starts at 9 o'clock. No matter what time you come between 8:50 and 9 o'clock, the student knows what to do, and it's not like they've missed anything. They just pick up from where they've left off. It's also a calm sort of way to start the day. It's predictable. Students are getting started doing a little bit of retrieval, getting warmed up. And as Marcus said, it doesn't cause any friction. Oh no, I haven't done this, and therefore I have to walk across the room and find this and do that, and now I'm starting the day discombobulated. So whether you call it a soft start or whether you say it's part of your entry routine, I think it helps to manage what would otherwise be quite a porous start to your morning.
And Julie did mention to me as well that she had taught them this routine the day before. So it wasn't just like an assortment of things they could do. So they had to do the whole rehearsal just like Mark did. And I think it looks, when you look at the video, like they're just in the habit of doing a bunch of practices when they walk in, but they're little, they have to be explicitly taught as well.
You can master it relatively quickly if you've got the rehearsal, the reinforcement, the modelling, the feedback all happening.
Yeah, great. Okay, next video, we're going to be looking at Mark de Bruin's upper primary class of boys. So the school is Cranbrook, and I imagine that it's similar to your environment, Mark, down in Victoria. So it's in one of the wealthier suburbs of Sydney. And we're going to see how these boys enter the room and get started. And we're going to be watching out for some of Mark's nonverbal communication with the boys as well.
Good morning, boys.
Good morning, Mr. DeBruin.
Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plenty to work with. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
All right. In a second, we're going to come in. You can see there's a retrieval quiz on the board. You're going to do it on your whiteboards, as usual. You don't have to get every single thing, but you do have to attempt every single question. Retrieval quiz on the board. Attempt every question. You don't have to get them right. Off we go. I want to see all pens moving in 30 seconds. Tom Scales' pen's moving. Ben Pembroke's pen's moving.
Very subtle and efficient passing out of materials there, just throwing it.
All pens are moving now.
Great scanning from the teacher.
Mark, what did you think? What did you notice?
First of all, it's so much fun watching people teach. I'm having the best time, so thank you for having me. A couple of things, like he addressed concerns before they arose. So as he came in, you don't need to get everything right. You just need to attempt everything. And the best teachers know the problems that are going to happen in the class and prepare for them. That was really cool. And also, even saying like all pens are moving sets the social norm in the class that everyone in this class is doing the right thing. So if there's one student who's not, so I need to fit in with that social norm. So yeah, that was great to watch.
I loved the subtle noticing that the students didn't have the materials that they needed, and rather than making a big deal of it, just lob it to them. It's a nice little incidental PE sort of hand-eye coordination as you start your morning. Yeah. So that's good.
And a good reason to watch the video of the podcast as well.
Yes, if you didn't realise, this is a video and audio podcast. Yes. You can listen to it, but you can also go back and see the footage for yourself if you don't want to listen to our commentary as the standalone. We're going to look at another classroom at Cranbrook now.
Same teacher, different class.
So the students are lining up in front of the classroom. They've got all their materials. Quietly waiting.
Good morning, boys.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Okay, the do now is on the board. Books are on the tables. I want to see us walking in absolutely silently, and I want to see all pens moving within 45 seconds. Number 1, walking in silently. Number 2, all pens moving within 45 seconds. What's number 1, Lucas?
Walking in silently.
What's number 2? Xander. Fantastic. Good morning, Xavier.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Xavier.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Ollie.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Tully.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Jaden.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, him.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Jasper. Good morning, Ziggy.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Xander.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Minato.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Toby. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Xavier's pen's moving. Good morning, Leo.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Sasha. Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Mr. DeBrun.
Good morning, Charlie. 45 seconds from now, all pens moving. All pencils are moving.
Mark, I've got a question for you about boys and girls. We've seen a bit of single-sex boys footage today, and the rest has been co-ed. So do you think there's any subtle differences between how you would approach this for boys and girls? This is not a loaded question at all. I'm just wanting to know.
There's subtle differences, not off the top of my head. I think you could be pretty consistent. So a lot of the tools apply. You could see it in that video, like greeting all the students on the way in, expecting silence. At some point, Mark paused and looked inside and corrected a student who might have just been a little bit noisy, and that was fine. And they would work for all contexts. I've seen them work in all contexts in all different countries. And even another subtle thing was, when Mark entered the room, he didn't need to say anything. The class was silent. And sometimes the teachers feel the need to fill the silence when students have started working like that. And a lot of those little subtle differences are really cool. If you're watching the video, you would see me smiling watching it, because I'm like, oh, this is so good. Yes. Very happy to watch it. What do you think, Beck, on the girls and boys stuff?
I'm with you. I was more curious because you've written a book on it and mine's based on just personal experience. So I thought you're the expert, I'll ask you. But I find girls do like routine. And I find they don't necessarily get it across a secondary school. And I don't know whether you experience this it's a bit more difficult to have routines in secondary or for teachers to take up a routine, even if it's a different routine for each class. But I find they respond really well to it. They know what's expected. And if you forget part of your routine, they will remind you.
Yeah.
They'll say, what's going on? Where's the do now? Or you forgot to prompt us this way. Or what's this weird change to our routine? They'll actually pick you up on it. And they oddly miss it.
Yeah, like routines are really good for everyone. The same, you hear the stories, boys really like routine, but I think humans like routines. When we know what's coming up next, things become easier for us.
And I think especially with girls are higher in anxiety and things like that. I think it actually really does help to have things like participation routines where they know, for example, that with a cold call, there'll be some kind of warm calling or some kind of pair sharing that they can lean on, or if they get something wrong, that it's not the end of the world, and they see that play out again and again, and they have that sense of safety as a result of seeing those routines being really consistent.
Yeah, that's it. And it's on the teacher a lot of the time to create that climate. On the cold call, something that can happen in schools, if a student gets something wrong, other people in the class go, a nice one, or whatever, particularly amongst boys sometimes. And creating a culture, correcting instantly on that type of stuff, redirecting it is a really important tool for teachers to practice and learn.
Nathaniel, what are your takeaways from watching all these amazing entry routines today?
I really like Julia Hutchison's retrieval on entry, especially with younger students. When I teach a prep or a year 1 or year 2 class next, I'm going to give that a go. I know it's going to take a little while to set it up, but I really like the idea of formative assessment, retrieval, and a way of checking in with students on how they're going, how they're tracking, and ensuring that they've got everything ready to start their morning in a really nice way.
I'm coming up to school holidays in a few weeks, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do when I get back. Our holidays are 3 weeks, which is basically a lifetime for a 12-year-old. So I'm thinking about how do I re-establish those routines and do the redo if necessary when they come back. And even things like our participation routines as well. So almost starting that second semester like a fresh year.
Thank you, Mark, for being on our show today and for helping us to have a really great reason to compile these great clips of practice, for bringing your own clips as well. It's always great for people to model that vulnerability of putting yourself out there and showing some of your teaching in action. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's sent us clips of their practice so far, and know that the invitation is always open.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much, Mark.
Thanks very much for having me. I've had a great time. Keep up the great work.